117, huh? Got that put in your calculator, Michael? Yep. Put that away, the other thing. You guys should be as far as me. So, how many zeros should I expect to see? 4. Do we see all 4 of them? Maybe. We only see 3 zeros, but is there any multiplicity to any of them? Yeah. What do you see at 1? It bounces. What's that mean? Works at least twice, right? An even number of times. So if that's 2, and that's a 1, positive 1, right? Where's that one at? Right here, right? There's one of them. That's the positive 8 right there, right? This one is not on our table, right? It's between -1 and -2. You see at -1, there's a -36 answer, and at -2, there's a positive 90. So sometime between there, it crossed the x-axis, right? So we need to, and we're thinking 2 times for this one, right? That's got multiplicity because of the bouncing. All right, so then to get this one, you hit second trace, Michael. See that? And then we're looking for a 0, so number 2. Okay? Now it's starting at the y-intercept. Whenever you do this the first time, it starts at the y-intercept. It's at 0, -24. So it's down here somewhere, right? Now, if I'm looking at this, when you guys watched it, it came down and then went up. You know, if you want to draw that a little different, you know, if I spread these out, it would have been, you know, if this is -2 and this is -1, it was coming like this, right? So where's left of that point? Above it or below it? Above, right? Thanks. Right, so I've got to get my cursor above the x-axis. Then I'll be left of the point I'm looking for. All right, and then it'll say right bound, remember? So then I'll get it down here below the x-axis. Then I know it's right of it. And then when it says guess, I hit enter, and it'll tell me that's 0. Okay? So, is this working? All right. All right. So, I'm going to hit my left arrow key. When you move it, you just hit left and right, not up and down, left and right. Okay, now watch. I'm not, it might go down a little bit yet. It looks like the min might be below -24. Let's go left. Yeah, it went down to -31, negative 36, negative 39, negative 39. So right around that negative 39, negative 40 area is where the min is, but we're not worried about that. We're worried about the zeros, right? So now it's going to start coming up. Negative 21, there it is, at negative 1. It's still not left yet. Remember, I got to get above it to get left of it. All right, went to 28, so it jumped way up. But I'm left of it now, so I'm good. I can hit enter, hit my right arrow key, and I see I'm below it, so I'm right of it, okay? So hit enter, and then remember to hit enter on guess, okay? And then it'll say 0 up here where it says guess, and it'll tell you what that answer is. So it's negative 1.5, okay? Since we have this calculator, should we miss that type of problem? No, we shouldn't, right? We shouldn't miss that, okay? So quit missing those. All right, now, to check to make sure, you don't really have to do this. Common sense tells us, since we know there's going to be 4 zeros, and it bounced off there. There's 2 of them, 3, 4. There's my 4, okay? But if you want to make sure, what do we do to make sure that 1 works twice? Do synthetic division, right? So let's just do that to make sure. Again, you don't have to do this, but sometimes this week, we're not going to see all of them like we can here. Okay? So we're going to have to use synthetic division to reduce, like our first problem on our practice quiz last week, we couldn't see all of them. So we had to use synthetic division to find the ones that we can't see. Those are the non-real ones, the imaginary ones. Okay? So I got a 4, 3, 2, 1 constant. So I don't have to add any zeros. I just put those numbers in. And I'm going to use 1 in the corner. So 2, negative 17, 4, 35, negative 24. Make my line. Try it again. There you go. Make my line. And remember, drop the 2 below the line. And then we go 1 times 2 and put it above the line. Then we add those. That's negative 15. Multiply those. 1 times negative 15. And then add those. That's negative 11. 1 times negative 11 is negative 11, which is 24. And 1 times 24 is 24. And I get 0, what I'm supposed to get, right? It's supposed to be a 0. Because the calculator told us it's a 0, right? We're just going to use 1 again to make sure we get a 0 again. And then we're making sure that it worked twice. That's all. Again, you don't have to do this. You should know that it's going to, since it bounced, it's going to work twice. 1 times 2 is 2. When I add those, I get negative 13. When I add those, I get negative 24. Multiply, negative 24. When I add those, I get 0. So it does work twice. Okay? And I could put 8, and it will work. And I could put negative 1.5, and it'll work. Okay? So just realize you're not going to always be able to see all of them. Okay? So you're going to have to do this synthetic division to get it down to a quadratic. This was x to the 4th, that's x to the 3rd, this is 2x squared. That's my a, that's my b, that's my c for the quadratic formula. But I could finish it if I couldn't see those other 2. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Try this one, please. See how we do there. See if we can see all 4 of them or not. Thank you, sir. I wanted it to be one that you couldn't see them. Thanks. Anybody having issues on their calculator? Okay, I wanted to have one where I couldn't see all four of them. Again, we got the same deal as the last one, right? But what I'm gonna do this time though, just to go through it, is I'm not gonna find these two on the calculator. I'm gonna use the quadratic formula. All right, just to go through it with you, just in case you have to do that. All right, so according to our picture and our table, -2 is the only one that's the whole number. These are between 0 and -1. You can see a +6 at -1 and a -4 at 0. And between 0 and 1, because it goes from -4 to 36 for my y value, so it goes through the x-axis again. And you guys can see that. All right. So I'm going to do the -2. And I don't have to add any zeros again. Just remember, it's -8 and -4. Keep those signs with you. -2 times 6 is -12. 23 minus 12 is 11. -2 times 11 is -22. And that's a -3. -2 times +6, that's a -2. -2 times -2 is +4. We get the 0. So there's the first time it works. -2 times 6, -12 again. -1. -2 times -1 is a +2. So that's a -1. -2 times -1, +2 again. Get my 0. So it worked twice. Okay? So again, I have no problem with you guys finding those two answers on your calculator and give me the decimal. All right? I'm just going to go use the quadratic formula to find these two instead. Okay? Just to show you again how that works. So remember, this started out as x to the 4th, so this is x cubed, so this is x squared, and there's the x. And basically, that's my equation right there. But really, all I need to know is those three numbers. That's the A, that's the B, that's the C, right? In the quadratic formula. So here's the quadratic formula again. -b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. We've done this a lot of times. Most of you got that memorized still. Okay? If you don't, write it down somewhere so you got it. All right, b was -1. B is still -1, minus 4. A was 6, and C was also -1 over over 2 times a, which was 6. Okay. So that makes the two negatives make that a positive 1 there. And 2 times 6 is 12. And then I do this b squared minus 4ac part. So I got a negative, negative 1 squared is, I'll just put it out to the side here, positive 1. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. Negative 24 times negative 1 is positive 24. Oh, this works out nice. That's 25. Well, what's the square root of 25? 5, right? So I'm going to do those two problems, okay? There's two problems there, remember. 1 plus 5 over 12, 1 minus 5 over 12. Okay, 1 plus 5 is 6. What's 6 divided by 12 reduced to? 1/2, yeah. So that's 6/12, which is 1/2 or 0.5. Okay, 1 minus 5 is negative 4. What's that reduced to? Negative 1/3 or negative 0.3 repeating. So you could use 0.5 or negative 0.3 repeating. Okay? So those are those two other ones that are up here. Okay? Here's negative 1/3. And right there's positive 1/2. Which you could find on your calculator. I understand that. And that's okay. All right? But I just want to go through this again, the quadratic formula, because sometimes you won't see all 4 of them like we have on the 2 examples today. You know, if there's 3 of them, you might only see 1 of them. Okay? And the other 2 are imaginary, non-real. Or if there's 4 of them, you might only see 2 of them. Okay? So you got to do synthetic division twice, get it to its quadratic, and then solve that. And you're going to get a negative under here. So you might get, 1 plus or minus 5i over 12, something like that. Okay? And that's your other 2 then. Make sense? Okay. So maybe all of them will work out like these, and you can find them all on your calculator, but if they don't, you know what to do, right? Any questions on that? The other thing we're doing this week is I'm giving you the zeros, and you have to tell me the function. All right? You got to give me this part. So we're going backwards. All right? So here's 3 zeros. All right? We have to find the polynomial, the function that goes with that. So when you do these, you always start out with x minus. Since there's 3 of them, I want to have 3 x minuses. Okay? So always start x minus. And then you just put this number here, x minus 4. Well, what's x minus a negative 3? Plus. So that ends up being x plus 3. Now, on the fractions, okay, the denominator goes in front of the x, and the numerator goes after the minus. So we're going to write that as 3x minus 2. Okay? Denominator in front of the x minus the numerator. Now, if that's negative 2/3, that becomes 3x plus 2. You guys with me on that? Just like the x minus negative 3 became x plus 3. And then we just FOIL. You guys know how to do that, right? We just multiply them together. So when it's like this, doesn't matter what order. I just go left to right. So I'm going to do these 2 first. First, x times x. Outside, x times 3. Inside, negative 4 times x. Last, negative 4 times 3. And then there's the middle terms, combine them. That's a negative 1x. And then you're going to multiply that answer times the x minus 2. Okay? So now I got 3 terms times 2 terms. So I'm going to get 6 terms. And then there might be some like terms that I can put together. which there usually is. Okay? So I'm going to go x squared times 3x, and x squared times negative 2. I'm going to do negative x times 3x, which is negative 3x squared. So I'm going to put it under that one since they're like terms. And then negative x times negative 2 is positive 2x. So there's 2 more of them. That's 4 of them. I need 2 more because I got to go negative 12 times 3x, which is negative 36x. So I'm going to put it under the x because they're like terms. And then negative 12 times negative 2 is plus 24. Okay, so my answer then, putting my like terms together, is 3x cubed minus 5x squared minus 34x plus 24. So this polynomial, this function, has zeros. I can't get it all together. 4, negative 3, and 2/3. If I had that and asked you to find the zeros, that's what you would find. Those are the answers you'd get. So we're going backwards. That's the other thing this week. Questions on that? Okay. Now sometimes you get zeros like this that are non-real. Where are they at? There they are. Let's move those up. All right. So if I tried to find, once I get this answer, all right, if I tried to find its zeros, I wouldn't be able to see any of them on the calculator. All right, but that's okay. We don't have to worry about it. We won't give you one like that. But I'll give you one like this to go the other way. All right, so how do we start these always? X minus. Okay. They always come in, the imaginary ones and the irrational ones, the ones that would have radicals, they always come in pairs. All right, we got positive 2i, negative 2i. They always come together. 3 plus 7i, there's going to be a 3 minus 7i. Okay? They always come in pairs. But we just put x minus in front of all of those is all we do. Okay? So x minus 2i and x minus negative 2i. Well, what's minus a negative 2i? Plus. And then x minus 3 plus 7i. So you got 3 terms there. Right? You can't put them together. You just put x minus in front. And always x minus, and then whatever that is, 3 minus 7i. Okay? So it's always x minus. And then sometimes you have minus a negative, which turns it into plus. Now, this is important. You must multiply these 2 together first, and then these 2 together second. Because what's going to happen to the i's then? They'll all be gone. Okay? Same thing if we had radicals. If that was 3 plus 7 radical 1, or we wouldn't have a radical 1, I guess. Radical 2, let's say. If this was 3 plus 7 radical 2, that would be 3 minus 7 radical 2. The radicals would get canceled out too, if that would happen. But I don't think you have any radical ones. So we just FOIL, okay? So x times x for first. Outside x times 2i is a positive. I always go alphabetical. I comes before x in the alphabet. But if you put xi, it's not wrong. And then I have a negative 2i times x, which is negative 2ix. What happens to those? They're going to cancel. That's always going to happen. What's a negative 2i times a positive 2i? Negative 4i squared. Just like x times x is x squared, I times I is still I squared, right? Now, what have we learned about that I squared? It equals what? Negative 1, right? So what have we done in the past? We have, let's do a different color. We've done that and do what to that negative sign in front? Make it positive. You guys remember that? But no more I then, right? It's gone. So this answer is x squared plus 4. Okay? Questions? All right, this one. You guys quit zoning out. You ones that tend to zone out on me. Okay, Ryan, Michael, Alec, Andrew, Spicy, you with me? Good. All right. So how many terms are in this parenthesis? 3. How many in this one? What's 3 times 3? 9. So when I multiply them, I should get 9 terms. Now, some of them are going to be like terms. So we won't have a total of 9 terms when we're done. We're actually only going to have 3 terms. But when we multiply, you should count. Make sure you multiply them all. So you get 9. Okay, does that make sense? You with us now? Good. All right, so let's do this one first. These 3. X times x, x times negative 3, and x times negative 7i. Any questions on those 3? All right. Now, I'm going to do negative 3 times x, which those are like terms, so I'm going to just put them like that. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. There's no other like terms to put it under, so let's put it out there. Negative 3 times negative 7i is positive 21i. Negative times a negative is positive, right? There's 3 more, so I got 6 of the 9. I need to do the 7i times all 3, which is positive 7ix. What happens to those 2? They're opposites, right? So those are gone. Negative 7i times a negative 3 is a negative 21i. What happens to those 2? Cancel also, right? And then negative 7i times negative 7i is positive times a negative is negative, right? Negative 49i squared. Well, what happens there? That's positive 49. So I'm going to put it with the 9 because those are like terms. You with me? Any questions? So there's 9, right? 3 green, 3 blue, and 3 purple because that one I just moved there. So I just combine my like terms now. I'll put that in green. So I got my x squared, negative 6x, and that's what, 58? So no more i's. Am I done though? No. I've got to multiply this red answer by the green answer, then I'll be done. Okay? So it takes a little time. It's not that hard. It just takes a little time, right, Alex? So I got 2 terms, 3 terms, so I'm going to have 6. But some of them will be like me. 9 and 49. Okay? So x squared times x squared is x to the 4th. X squared times negative 6x is negative 6x to the 3rd. X squared times 58 is 58x squared. So there's 3 of them. All right, remember I want to need 6 total. Then I'm going to go 4 times x squared, which is 4x squared. Those are like terms, so I'll put them under. 4 times negative 6x is negative 24x. And 4 times 58 is what? Positive, not equal, sorry. Plus. 4 times 58 is 232. I think. Yeah, thanks. So I just have the x squareds that are the like terms to finish up. So my answer is x to the fourth minus 6x cubed plus 62x squared minus 24x plus 232. So that polynomial, that function, gives me those four imaginary, non-real zeros. So going backwards, giving you the zeros first, and you finding the polynomial that would go with it. So one like that takes a little more time, but it's just, distributing or foiling, whatever you want to call it. Remember, x minus when you do them. Just start. All right? Questions? So the first part of your homework is just like last week. Use your calculator to find the zeros. And that's the second part. There's only 4 problems. I didn't give you a lot because I know sometimes they take a little time. All right? There you go. Thanks for paying attention.